Testing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May we please have your attention? Welcome to the Silverrudder Challenge of the Sea 2017. I can see that there are still a few people buying beer. Take your time, buy lots of beer, but not too much beer. First of all, I'm going to run through the agenda for this evening, who will be making presentations when dinner is served. But before then, I'd like just to bring your attention to a few small safety issues. In case an emergency should occur this evening whilst we're sitting here, a fire or another situation where we have to evacuate the building quickly. Now there are emergency exits on the right, left, and both doors with the green signs behind you. If an emergency should occur, try and leave the building in a timely fashion. Yeah, I know, I look like one of the stewardesses, I'm sorry. Just not quite as good looking. Can everybody hear what I'm saying? Can everybody sort of understand what I'm saying? If I talk too fast, go like that. If you want to know the sailing direction sooner, go like that. Okay? It's not going to happen. Okay, the agenda. First of all Ingman's going to make a quick presentation and introduction to you, and that will take place in Danish, English, and Jan Bo will translate into German. Secondly, Mads Kolde Olsen. Are you here, Mads? Great, thanks, Mads. From the Danish Sailing Association, he's going to do a quick presentation for us, followed by Anja Hås from Event Svendborg, or Svendborg Event. I'm Philip Kosten. I'll be running through the sailing instructions with you this evening, and my friend and colleague Mette Hundal will be running through the weather forecast for you before we stop for dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to give a big round of applause for the godfather of the Silverrudder, Ole Ingemann.
Hjertelig velkommen alle sammen. Det er jo en fornøjelse at se så mange glade sejlere og gæster her til Silverrudder 2017. Jeg har glædet mig helt vildt til, at vi skulle komme hertil, fordi der har været brugt rigtig mange kræfter på turen, indtil at vi er her i dag. Det er også sådan, at i år har vi så valgt, at jeg holder talen på dansk, så kommer den på tysk og engelsk, fordi mit sprog er ikke altid helt forståeligt, da jeg er fynbo. Derfor blev jeg også nødt til at holde mig nogenlunde på manuskriptet, fordi vi har sat nogle linjestop i, så vi er sikre på, at det, der kommer på dansk, det kommer op på tysk og engelsk i en rigtig rækkefølge. Er I med på den? Vi prøver. Jamen, det jeg har skrevet ned her på min lille seddel, det er, at jeg er faktisk stævneleder, og det er lige så vigtigt som at sørge for at ordne toilet og alt muligt andet. Det er bare mig, der prøver at få teamene til at hænge sammen og få tingene til at ske, og så skulle jeg egentlig gerne være arbejdsløs nu her om 5 minutter. Det er en meget stor fornøjelse at kunne byde jer alle sammen velkommen her til årets Silverrudder Challenge of the Sea. Det var udlandet. Ja, det skal til at gå, ja.
So, also was der gute Mann zuletzt gesagt hat, das ist also als Regattaleiter ist es mir ein Vergnügen, euch allen mit einem herzlichen Willkommen für die Regatta Silverrudder Challenge of the Sea herzlich willkommen heißen zu dürfen.
And a warm welcome to the Silverrudder Challenge of 2017.
Første gang, der blev sejlet sikkelhandssejlads rundt om Fyn, det er jo snart mange år tilbage, der skal vi tilbage til 2012, hvor 15 skipper, de har meldt ankomst, og der kunne vi være i Svendborg Lystbåhavn. Det var fantastisk. De tog udfordringen op. Der havde vi godt nok mere vind det år der, end vi har åbenbart i år, men der hed den også Silverrudder, havets jernmand, og det er egentlig det går ud på. Det er et spørgsmål om kampen mod elementerne alene mand ombord. Den har så udviklet sig til en internationalt kendt sejlsportsevent, så vi har her i 2017 faktisk havde 435 på listen lige efter 24 timer. Nu er vi så stadigvæk over 400. Det er da helt fantastisk. På 24 timer.
Das erste Mal, als wir die Singlehand-Regatta rund Fünen durchgeführt haben, nahmen 15 Segler diese Herausforderung an. Damals wurde die Regatta mit Silverrudder, also Silberrohr, ernannt. Iron Man of the Sea. Ups. Mittlerweile hat sich die Veranstaltung zu einem internationalen, sehr bekannten Segelsportereignis entwickelt. In der Form, dass heute in 2017 über 400 Schiffe im Laufe von 24 Stunden ihre Teilnahme zugesagt haben.
First time the Silverrudder event took place in 2012, it did so under the name Silverrudder, which basically means Silver Rudder, Iron Man of the Sea. At that time, only 15 skippers participated. The regatta has exploded so that this year we managed to sell more than 400 entries in less than 24 hours.
Langt over halvdelen af de her 400 både, de er udlandske. Og den klart største gruppe, det er de tyske sejlere. Og det er jo egentlig ikke til at forstå, da der er temmelig langt, der er 30 mil. Nej, det kan vi godt lide. Og der tæller omkring 260 af dem. Det er entusiastiske sejlere fra Tyskland. Derfor har vi også valgt i år, hvor vi kom hen sidste oktober, og være fysisk stede med Silverrudder nede på Hansebo i Hamburg.
Also die Hälfte der Segler kommen aus dem Ausland, wobei die größte Gruppe der deutschen Segler sind. Die Gruppe umfasst 260 Segler. Aus diesem Grund haben wir auch unsere Zusage für eigenen Stand in Hamburg Hanseboot Ende Oktober angegeben.
As more than half of the sailors, you can clap every time, it's okay, as long as you clap after the English as well. As more than half of the sailors are foreigners, non-Danes, and obviously by far the greatest group of you here are Germans. More than 260 Germans have enrolled, which is why the Silverrudder Challenge decided to participate in the Hamburg Hanse Messe in October.
Svendborg Amatørsejlklub. Vi slet ikke kunne løfte sådan en opgave, at Silverrudder er blevet til i dag, uden at vi har haft et meget, meget stort netværk af frivillige. Vi har et stort netværk af samarbejdspartnere og sponsorer og sejlere med passion for sejlsport, og det har været en del, altså en rigtig, rigtig væsentlig del af Silverrudder. Det skal jeg meget tak for.
Ohne ein breites Netzwerk von Freiwilligen, von Partnern und von Sponsoren mit einer Passion für den Segelsport hätte der Svendborg Amateursejlklub allein diese Aufgabe mit Silverrudder nicht organisieren können. Und dafür unseren größten und besten Dank.
The Svendborg Amateur Sailing Club would never have been able to lift Silverrudder to the level that it is today without the help and assistance from a huge span of volunteers, local and other places, Germany and Denmark. We'd like to thank them very much for their participation.
Og uanset hvilke bidrag, at I alle sammen sætter med her, så skal I egentlig være helt sikre på, at det I bibringer, det har I alle sammen en væsentlig andel i, at Silverrudder det er blevet verdens største kapsejlads for singlehand-sejlere. Det kan det kun blive med jer, og det er blevet en sejlsportsevent, alle taler om i hele Europa, og det skal I endnu en gang have en super stor tak for, og det gælder også netværket hjemme i familierne. Jeg ved jo selv, at min kone holder lidt øje med også, hvad jeg laver derude at sejle.
Tja, jetzt ist er also von dem Spur gefallen. Aber alle, die hier heute teilnimmt, ihr macht Silverrudder zu der weltgrößten Single-Segel-Veranstaltung, die überall in Europa geredet wird. Also ein recht herzliches, großes Dankeschön dafür.
Regardless of the contribution that you have made to the Silverrudder, all of you have played an active role in making Silverrudder to the biggest sailing event single-handed sailing event in the world. Everybody in Europe is talking about the Silverrudder, and we should all be proud to be a part of it.
Vi skal jo en rigtig, rigtig lang talerække igennem, men vi har også valgt at skyde starten til kl. 10 i morgen, så det går nok her. Det er jo skippermøde. Og som sagt, når jeg kommer ud i det engelske og tyske, jeg kan tale og snakke med folk, men det skal være officielt, så er det ikke lige måske, hvad det skal være. Og så er det her endnu en gang et eksempel på, at netværk, det man står sammen om tingene, og vi har nogen, som der gider skubbe på, så kommer Philip her, som der egentlig går ind og hjælper til med det sproglige. Det er helt fantastisk. Og så skal han også selv sejle med. Prøv at tænke jer en gang, at vores netværk i frivilligheden, den ligger op blandt sejlerne, der også skal ud og sejle. Det er bare godt gået. Og så tager jeg lige den sidste sætning samtidig med. Jeg glæder mig helt vildt til at se jer ude på startlinjen i morgen. Og sidste år sagde jeg, husk solcreme. Nu vil jeg sige, hvis I har en cykelpumpe og kan lave lidt mere vind, så bliver vi rigtig glade for det. Og god tur derude af. Ja, tak. Ja.
So, also wir freuen uns alle richtig, euch morgen bei der Startlinie wiederzusehen. Und wir wünschen euch ein gutes Rennen.
As Ola said, we've got a whole series of presentations to be made this evening. We'll try and get to the point. Ola expressed that he was grateful that I'd participate and help with the presentation this evening, and I've even been stupid enough to enroll for tomorrow morning for the race, so I'll probably be a bit tired. Anyway, thanks very much, Ola. Ola's taking the rest of the evening off. I know that you're all dying to be told what sailing direction. We're going to have to wait. In fact, we're going to give it to you right at the end of the presentation. You know, it keeps the suspense. Until then, we'd like to welcome Mads Kolde Olsen for the Danish Sailing Association.
Dear sailors, on behalf of Dansk Sejlunion, the Danish Sailing Association, I'm very happy to welcome you all to Denmark, to Svendborg, to the 2017 edition of the Silverrudder Challenge around Fyn. I am very impressed about the race setup, organized and delivered by Ole and his skilled crew of volunteers in Svendborg Amateur Sejl Club. Dear sailors, you are in very good hands. Today, around Fyn, tomorrow, and when you come back during the weekend. Thank you, Ole, and thank you all volunteers for your great work here at the Silverrudder 2017. Thank you so much. And also, thank you to the city of Svendborg, Svendborg Event, and the team of partners around the event. A few weeks ago, I met an adventurous little sailor. He was about the age of 12, and he was about getting his Optimist dinghy ready at the harbor. He told me how much he loved sailing. He told me about his boat and about his dreams. He wants to sail around the world. To begin with, he would sail around Fyn. He would sail around Fyn single-handed, in his Optimist. And because he reasoned, sailing around Fyn in a small dinghy probably would be much like sailing around the world in a big boat. So, dear sailors, if you, on your way around Fyn in your multi-hull or keelboat, big or small, notice a small Optimist dinghy going so the same way, it might be our little friend on his way around Fyn, dreaming of the big trip around the world. Sailing is pursuing dreams, going for the gold or winning the cup, experience the adventure, feeling the nature, or battling the forces of wind and waves. You all have taken up the challenge to sail a boat around Fyn on your own, short of crew, short of hands to pull and trim, short of someone to talk with or discuss navigation with, short of sleep, short of someone to bring a hot cup of coffee to the skipper. At some point during the race, probably when you're most tired and low on energy, when you realize that you have made a navigation error, or when you are on your own, left behind and the competitors all in front of you, you might be thinking, why am I doing this? Well, I think exactly because of that feeling at that moment, you have taken up the challenge to find your limits. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And you found them. Congratulations. Now, enjoy the pain, the wind, the water, and the nature, and keep on going. Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, has described how he felt flying in his spacecraft, looking back to Mother Earth. And he said, "It suddenly struck me that that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye and blotted out the planet Earth. I did not feel like a giant. I felt very, very small." During the race around Fyn, you might also feel very, very small. However, you have prepared yourself for this challenge. You have practiced boat handling on your own. You have checked your boat, your rig, your sails, and all the technical solutions have been optimized. You know the weather forecast. You have a safety plan. In other words, you are ready. And in doing so, you set a brilliant example to all other sailors. You say, train yourself, be prepared, and know your strengths and your limits. Dansk Sejlunion, the Danish Sailing Association, works hard with sailing clubs and volunteers around the whole country to bring more people out on the water. 400 plus boats here at the Silverrudder participate in the race. And the increasing number of participants is a clear statement of a successful event with good reputation in Denmark and internationally. And the honor for this goes to Svendborg Amatørsejlklub and a team of partners. The Silverrudder is a single-handed challenge at the sea. It's one woman or one man in one boat around Fyn. But look at yourself. Single is somewhat a contradiction in terms. As 400 participants is a big crowd. So the motto of the Silverrudder should be, together we do it on our own. Dear sailors, thank you for your contribution to bringing more people out on the water. After a weekend on your own, I'm sure you want some company on your boat. You bring sailing forward in Denmark. I wish you all good wind and an exciting race. And remember, safety first, take care of yourself and your fellow sailors around you. Have a great trip. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mads. The next presenter that wishes to speak to you is Anja Hoos from Svendborg Event. Please give her a large round of applause.
Thank you. As you already heard earlier today, and I think next year we will look at those speeches and coordinate them a little. So maybe you heard it all before, but I'm from Svendborg Event, and I'm here to welcome you all very much to the city. We heard it earlier that this year's Silverrudder was sold out in less than 24 hours, and it's you sitting out there who were both fast and brave enough to take up the challenge. We're very pleased about that. It's a unique sailing. It's a race that's been followed from all over Europe, so the whole world's eyes are watching you. Take care out there. In Svendborg, we are incredibly proud of all of you visiting us. And you look at the harbor and all your beautiful boats and all your good people. It's so nice to have you here. The whole city is supporting this event with money, with enthusiasm, with happiness, and with excitement. The Silverrudder is not only a competition between you, it is a struggle for you and yourself with your boat, and we think you are the coolest of them all. For several years, we have been bragging about the South Funen Island being a world-class archipelago. But one thing is that we confirm each other about that. Every Sunday when we go out in our small sailboats with the food basket and we look around and say, oh, this is so beautiful. When we jump in the sea and when we bath from our ships, and we just confirm each other again and again. But it's something completely different when you here, the coolest one, come from all over and you say exactly the same. Then we become proud, very proud. It is indeed a very, very nice water that surrounds us, and it should be experienced. Therefore, I hope that a great many of you will take the opportunity and come back and bring your family the next time. There's so much to experience around here. On the water, out on the beautiful small islands, here in Svendborg. As you probably already know, you can go everywhere on your foot from the harbor and you can reach it all. We have a lot of live music, we have good eateries, we have fantastic ateliers, and there's so many things to explore. Svendborg was actually last year voted as Denmark's coziest city to shop in. So bring your wife, all of you guys, bring your men, all of you women. I can't actually see very many women, but go out there and shop. It's a very, very nice city to shop in. So now I'll make it sweet and short. You go out and have a very great race tomorrow. We are so excited about the racing instructions. And remember, safety first. At sea, security for both vessels and people are the main priority. So don't take any chances, but go out and have fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anja. Right. The presentation that I'm going to make for you now is solely based on the sailing instructions and then shortly afterwards the collision avoidance rules. If you have any questions along the way, you're welcome to ask them. We may defer the questions till after the presentation, but you're welcome to ask questions. If there are questions in German that I cannot understand, then I'll get Jen Bolt to bring the microphone down to so that everybody can benefit from the questions, all right? Same goes in English or Danish. Yeah? As I said a second ago, I'm not going to give you the sailing direction yet. I just put that there as a teaser. Good. Before we move on, I'd like you all to do a small favor for me. This event just couldn't have taken place without the help of the volunteers from Svendborg Amateur Sailing Club. A lot of the people that have been involved here, I know I said thank you once already, but a lot of them are retired. Some of them actually taking days off work to be here. And it wasn't until I actually got involved in the event, actually only as the person doing the translation and the presentation here, it's only when I got involved in the event that I realized how much work it takes to get an event like this to be a success. So I'd like actually everybody wearing a white t-shirt like this, anybody who's been a volunteer from the Svendborg Amateur Sailing Club or has volunteered to help with the Silverrudder to stand up. Are there anybody here? I give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Good. Now, why do we even do this? There might not be any wind, it might be raining, it might be pretty crappy weather. Some of us do it for the t-shirts. Do you remember all the trouble about the t-shirts last year? Yeah. I got mine somewhere, I think in November. Great t-shirt, as Donald Trump would say. Great t-shirt. Good. Some of us do it for the plaque. There's no chance I'm ever going to win that with my little slow boat, but some of you probably spent too much time watching this guy, watching Van der Globe throughout the winter. That's probably not going to happen this race with a weather forecast, but I'll leave that for a minute. But there are several different reasons for participating. Remember, we're all there for that reason, to have fun, to do something we just love. This is what we hope awaits us tomorrow. This is the reason why we do it. For the most fantastic sailing waters in the world, in my humble opinion. You can go to the Caribbean, there are mosquitoes and pirates, and you go to the Mediterranean, and there's always swell and crappy weather, and a lot of really bad garlic food. That's why we come here. It's the most beautiful sailing part in the world. So thank you for coming. For those of you who haven't participated before, that is in fact the sailing line, or the starting line. I'll run through this again in just a second, but as you leave the port here, most of us are parked in here, come out through here, and depending whether we go that way or that way, then make sure you stand clear. But I've got some maps that I'll show you where to wait. Good. These are the times to beat. I just thought maybe out of respect for some of the people here, I know that a few of you are here. Are any of the record holders here? I saw that Black Maggie was here. Where is she? Where there? There's Black Maggie. Welcome back. Anybody else with a record here? A few people? Oh, welcome back. I hope you manage to break your own records again this year. So just look at the time, look at the category you're in, and then decide whether you have to start a few hours before everybody else to break it. Good. The first part of the presentation is going to be about safety issues. But before we go to that, I'd like to make sure that everybody, when we get to the starting line tomorrow, has pretty much the same time on their watches. So I'm going to go to the Universal Time Coordinated website. And if I'm really lucky, I'm not. I was hoping I'd be really lucky, and it's worked about 15 times, but not now. I apologize, you have to bear with me for a second. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. There's a big idiot with a big fish. I'm going to have to revert to the sailing time, but I'm going to try and coordinate all our watches so we get exactly the same time. Finger. I'll get back to it. Good. Before we proceed, I'd like to look at the safety committee's job here. These numbers here are to be called for the following reasons. There'll be a safety committee which will be manned 24 hours a day. And you can call them if you require assistance, or if you need or want to stop for a rest. You must call them so that they know why you've temporarily or permanently left the race. If you need to withdraw from the race, you should also contact them. If you need to use your engine for your own assistance to come free of a shoal or a grounding, or to assist others, you must call them. Or if you notice anything abnormal, I don't know what abnormal could be, but it could be that you notice at the sailing boat where the boat is clearly heading to danger because perhaps the skipper is sleeping, the boat is an autopilot and is heading towards the Great Bell Bridge. We don't want any more broken masts this year. Okay. This is the numbers you can call, and I'm just going to leave that screen there for a few seconds so you can program your telephones with the numbers or take a picture. The numbers are obviously also on the sailing instructions, but if your mast's broken, you're probably going to be a bit busy and not know where the sailing instructions are anyway, so perhaps you should take a minute to just photograph that. Okay. A few words of warning. The ferry routes is from under the bridge from the west, entering to the harbour and to here. The starting line is here. Some of you will encounter a ferry very close to your starting time, or right in the middle of your starting time. The ferry cannot give way to you. I'm going to repeat that. The ferry cannot give way to you. The ferry is restricted in its ability to maneuver when it's in the Svendborg Sound. There isn't enough water on either sides of the main ferry route for it to be able to give way to you. So you're going to have to give the ferry a wide berth and move out to the sides. And yes, that may affect your performance for the first 5 minutes of the race, but the same applies to everybody. We'd really, really wish for you to respect the difficult situation the ferry captain or mate is on the bridge of the ferry when he sees a start with 100+ boats. Yeah? So for your own sake and for the sake of the people on the ferry, make sure you're still clear. Since you were here last, they've completed building breakwaters below the Svendborg Sound Bridge to the west. It is possible to navigate and sail through, of course, that way or that way, I don't know which way yet, but it is possible to sail through the breakwater, so you don't have to try and cram 410 or 20, 30 boats through the main section within 2 hours. You can actually go through here, all right? To the north, there is less water. Check your charts. The depth has not been reduced since they build these breakwaters. However, on these sides, either side, there's between 5 and 7 meters. Okay? Note the current here, for those of you who haven't been here before, can be quite vicious, and you can experience up to 3 knots of current in the sound here. So be aware that you may not have the same ability to maneuver as you come through the bridge, because there'll be a lot of current. So have respect for that, please. Good. As a new rule this year, because the Sailing and Racing Committee have found it difficult to identify some boats as they start or complete the race, we haven't actually known who has completed because the number signs on the hull have fallen off. We've entered a requirement that all sailors must have an identification number in their sail. It doesn't really matter what it is. You can put a cross, or you can put a circle, you can put some spinnaker tape you've got, but you have to have informed the race committee of what your sail identification number is before you start. Boats that don't have anything in their sails have to inform the race committee of what sign they have in their sail before they start, all right? Good, I know that most do that. This guy here is something new as well. We'll come back to him in just a second. This year, there'll be a jury boat on and around the starting line. And the jury boat isn't there as a police boat. It's there to ensure that the very simple rules that apply to all 430 boats that have paid to start, that those rules are abided by, they're adhered to. Last year, there were vessels or boats that had their engines running 5 minutes after the start had gone. And I appreciate there was current against us and there was no wind, but 4 minutes before the start, your engines might have stopped. If your engine hasn't stopped 4 minutes before the start, you really have disqualified yourself. Are there any questions to that? If you use your engine during a sailing race, you're disqualified. And your sailing race starts 4 minutes before at the warning signal. Is that okay? Yeah? Goes for everybody. So there'll be a jury boat out there, and he's not going to disqualify you immediately, but he'll report your actions to the starting committee, the racing committee on shore, by VHF radio. Good. I want everybody to pay careful attention. The race rules do not apply here. Not one of them. Only the international collision avoidance rules apply. And at the end right at the end of the presentation, I'm going to be showing you a couple of rules which are specifically interesting here. The race rules do not apply. There are certain things you cannot do. You cannot luff other boats, for example. That's against the rules. You luff other boats, you'll be protested against. I'll get to that in a second, okay? But bear in mind that when we say that the international collision avoidance rules apply, it means that lanterns, lights must be displayed from sunset to sunrise. You must maintain a proper lookout. I was going to say you must sail at proper speed or an adequate speed, but well, just sail as fast as you can. Good. Back to the use of engines. All use of engines, unless for the sole purpose of assisting other vessels in distress or in danger, is strictly forbidden. If you do use your engines, you must inform the race committee or the safety committee on these telephone numbers as soon as the imminent danger has passed. So if you're towing another boat off a shoal who's gone aground, you don't have to stand with your phone in your hand. You know, when you've saved the person's boat, life, mast, or whatever, then you call and say, look, I've had to use my engine. Yeah? The reason why you should inform him is that there's a very good chance you can be given what we call redress. I don't know what that's called in Germany. Can anybody translate that for me? Redress. In Danish, it's called regress. It means you can be given the benefit of the doubt for the time you've used in assisting another boat. So if you use 20 minutes helping another boat and you've called the safety committee and they can reconstruct you on the tracker system, on the track, they can, hey, this guy used half an hour helping, we'll give them that half an hour back. So it's in your own interest to do so. Yeah? Of course, if you've used your engine to come free of a grounding, then you have automatically disqualified yourself. Then you won't be given redress. You'll be given an early breakfast and a good night's sleep. Good. So back to the navigation lights. I've already said this, but make sure you all display your lights from dusk till dawn. If you're in doubt, light them half an hour earlier. A white torch illuminating the sails is not an adequate way of displaying your presence. It's enough to supplement the lights required by the collision avoidance rules. You can at least show that you're here, but you're not allowed to use it as the only means of displaying your presence. Is that understood? So if you're not showing one of these, if you cannot display one of these when you go down to your boat this evening, then you mustn't start. Unless you have emergency lights with you, like some of the guys have, I have, a set of little lights that you can add onto the boat, then you have to immediately withdraw from the race if your lights fail. Last year there were boats in very close quarter situations with no lights on, passing a few meters in front of each other. Yeah? So it's perfectly okay to tell people that they should leave the race if they are not displaying lights. Good. A little bit about the notice of race. Any changes to the notice board, any changes to the sailing direction, any changes to the race itself will be publicized on the notice board. You can all turn around and look right in the back corner there. There's like a big black television screen on the left. It will be notified and will be placed on there by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, the race committee maintains the right to make any changes that might be necessary with regards to safety, weather. There could be restricted visibility, that is fog, or other reasons for postponing or for changing the race. So I would strongly recommend that everybody cruises up here tomorrow morning to check the board. Yeah. That's not the plan. The Facebook is not our official site. I'll repeat the question was, will it also be published on Facebook? And I said the Facebook site is not an official Silverrudder site. it will only be put on the official notice board just like it would do in any other regatta you've participated in. Yeah? It's a fine question, but just to make sure that everybody's clear on that, come up here tomorrow morning. Yeah? Nobody's starting before 10, so nobody has to leave the harbor until whatever, 9 or something, 8:30, so come and have a look. Yeah? Any information regarding starts or changes will also be notified on channel 72 on your VHF. So I'd recommend that you have your VHF switched on channel 72 from tomorrow morning. Good. This is the course. Thanks to Quantum Sales, we've been given these great stickers again this year, so we can see what courses we're sailing. That way, at least we've got no excuses for going the wrong way. There are no marks except the starting line and the finishing line that have to be respected. So if you're sailing around in a boat with a 6-meter mast, you can go right into the inside of the bridges. There are no marks, no buoys or anything whatsoever that have to be respected. I'm going to read this out, okay? The starting line is between a yellow buoy fixed immediately in front of the signal tower on the Svendborg Marina. I'll show you a picture in a minute. And a yellow buoy of the same size in Vindeby, exactly the same as last year. But for those of you who haven't been here last year, it looks like this. The yellow buoys look like that. A great big yellow blob. I think actually he's finishing and not starting. You might recognize yourself, whoever it is. So there's one here, and there's one here. This is Vindeby Harbour, and this is the Svendborg Round Marina, as we call it. Unfortunately, we've tried, but we can't get the yellow line, the paint, to stay on the water, so there is only the 2 yellow buoys. Okay. Good. I've also written that the signal station, where the flag is used to define the start, will be hoisted. The little next slide here is on the shortening of the course. Now, this man either drove, I hope he drove and didn't sail, all the way from Slovenia. Are you here this year? This guy came all the way from Germany. Well, he's back this year. This guy came all the way from Norway. I don't know where he came from, though. Yeah? We can't shorten the course. I mean, you've got to have value for money. So we're going to send you all the way around. No shortening. You won't be taken in. Once you start, you're all in. You're all committed. I know it's getting boring now. Yeah. Okay. Okay? Good. Starting procedure. The example I'm going to give you here is just an example of the starting procedure. And it's the same starting procedure as any other race you may or may not have participated in. The starting signal will be announced on channel 72 on the VHF. If there's a discrepancy between seconds between the starting signal on the VHF and the flags, it's always the flags that apply, just like in any other race you've ever participated in. First of all, if we take this example of the small keelboats mini, which starts at 10 o'clock, there'll be a warning signal at 09:55. Before that, there'll be a 10-second countdown, where the race committee will say 10, 9, 8. You won't be any doubt if you've got your VHF on channel 72. 10 seconds before the 4-minute signal, they'll give you a 10-second countdown. And 10 seconds before the 1-minute signal, they'll give you a countdown again. And then the 10 o'clock start with a countdown as well. The countdown will be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. Don't wait for somebody to say start or go or have a nice time. It's 0, and then you're off. Okay? Is that clear? This is the sequence of starts. I'm sure everybody has noticed that the small boats and the medium boats have been split into 2 starts purely for safety reasons, where the safety committee was not, or the race committee was not happy with the thought of having 120 boats starting on a line which can't fit 120 boats, regardless of which direction we went into. Good. Any boat, such as this guy, that hasn't passed the starting line 60 minutes after the very, very final start, which was at 2 o'clock, yeah? So anybody who hasn't passed the starting line by 1500 hours tomorrow can stay here and have a beer, or 2. Yeah? So if you're starting the minis, at 10 o'clock, if you don't get up in time, you don't pass the line until 1 minute to 3, you're still started. You're probably not going to win a Silverrudder, but you might get a t-shirt. Okay? So if you don't pass 60 minutes after the final start, you get a did not compete. We hope that we don't have to postpone the race. We hope that we won't have to postpone it. But if there is fog, or there's absolutely no wind whatsoever, we may be forced to postpone. Now, again, this is just an example of how the postponement could take place. But postponement will be announced on the VHF channel 72, and it'll start with the Alpha Papa flag being hoisted, the answering pennant, and it'll also be displayed ashore, accompanied with a number pennant. The number pennant will illustrate the minimum amount of hours, the duration of the postponement. So I've illustrated here. This is the answering pennant which will be hoisted, and if you get the tricolore flag, the three-color flag, it means that there'll be at least a 3-hour start. Any changes in the postponement can only be of a greater number, 3, 4, 5, so on, will be announced in the VHF. Yes? And also, the end of the postponement will be announced at least 5 minutes before on channel 72. We will make sure, the race committee will give you ample time to make sure that you can leave the harbour if you've come back in, and go out to the race line, to the starting line. They won't just give you 5 minutes to leave the harbour and be on site, okay? All this is taken directly from the sailing instructions. There's nothing new in this presentation whatsoever, except what is in the sailing instructions. Okay. We're back to the notice board over there. This is the notice board I took a picture of. Any information regarding postponements, changes will be on the notice board, okay? Once the postponement is cancelled or is completed, then we'll go back to the normal starting procedure as for Rule 7 in the sailing instructions. So exactly the same starting procedure I presented to you before. Good. There will be no recalls. Recall means that, I'm sorry, yeah? Could you repeat your question? If we postpone, all subsequent starts will be postponed. If we postpone, it just won't be one start, it'll be all the starts. It has to be, otherwise you'll have 2 starts going at the same time. Yeah? There will be no recall. The reason why there'll be no recall, no restart, is because we have a fool like this guy at the front here who suddenly decides that he's passed the starting line too quickly. He's false started, and he has to try and turn back. He's going to have a really hard time, all these guys here. I call him a fool because that was me last year, so I'm allowed to call him an idiot or a fool. Any boat on course side upon the start receives a 30-minute penalty. And the reason why it says a minimum of a 30-minute penalty is one of you might be tempted to start 2 hours before, which would be a pretty good investment if you know they only got 30 minutes penalty. So we'll probably get at least 2 hours and 30 minutes. So stay in bed a bit longer tomorrow. Is that okay? Good. Don't try to return to the starting line. I mean, you won't be restarted. I don't think they're going to give you much space. Good. The time for completion of the Silverrudder is Sunday at 12 o'clock. If you could see that there's no way in a million years you're going to get back here by Sunday at 12 o'clock, again, have a sleep. All right? So at 12 o'clock on Sunday, the Silverrudder 2017 is finished. At 1300, the awards ceremony will take place in here, where you can come and pick up your Silverrudder and your prizes. Everybody wants the t-shirt. T-shirts will be handed out to skippers who complete the circumnavigation of Funen within the allocated time and return their trackers. I was at a race, I was at the Danish Championships with a couple of the guys here about a month ago, and you had trackers on every boat, and they wouldn't give you the beer when you arrived in on the jetty unless you handed in the tracker. It was like a really good way of capturing